Hey there, movers and shakers. Emily here at the Movement Clinic. And today's class and practice is focused on creating length in those hip flexors and that buzzy muscle known as the psoas. So, as usual for these restorative approaches to practice, we're gonna need a handful of props, if available. If not, we can always make it work. Grab a strap, a block, a blanket, and set yourself up to move close to a wall. We will want to use this eventually, but again, if you don't have access to set yourself up near a wall, no worries, we can always do it without. Either way, get yourself to your place where you're going to move, and I'll see you there. We'll start lying on our back, so just move your props out of the way for now. We will start and end in Shavasana today. So allow your legs to go long, shoulder blades underneath you, down the back. Open arms out to your sides. Nice and easy for now. You can gently close the eyes as we begin to create some grounding and also some awareness, forging that mind-body connection starting here. Bring your awareness to the back of the body, starting at the feet, where your heels connect to the mat. Maybe the lift from the backs of the ankles, the Achilles tendon, then dipping down where the calves gently rest against the mat. Maybe the backs of your knees lift slightly like mine. Maybe the backs of the thighs don't really touch. Notice where your hips rest on the mat. And bring a specific awareness or gaze on the lift of the low back from your mat in this moment. Is it drastic? Maybe even slightly uncomfortable? Is it exaggerated? Does it feel comfortable, gentle, or natural? Or maybe it's quite flat. None good, bad, or otherwise, but just bringing in awareness here now so that we can take note of the change, if any, at the end of class. And lifting the gaze further up the back to where the upper back, shoulders, shoulder blades rest gently on the mat. Ultimately, the curve of our cervical spine, the neck, might find a gentle lift, and the back of the skull resting on the mat. And very slowly start to walk your feet in to be slightly closer to one another. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. If this is too much on the front of the right hip for any reason, simply bend the right knee and plant the foot to bring a gentle bend, okay? Or maybe even the low back doesn't like that right leg to be long. It's all right. Hug your left knee in towards the center of your left chest. You might gently flex both feet. I recommend it, reaching out through the heels actively. Slurp the low belly up and in. Keep your left thigh close to your ribs, but then simply allow the arms to open out wide, releasing the leg. And start to circle that bent left leg out to the left. Lengthen the leg long, keep the foot floating. Bend the knee again, cross your body, bring it back, brushing the thigh across the low belly, out to the left, and creating these nice big circles in a counterclockwise direction. Or clockwise, I guess, depending on what your perspective might be. But either way, reverse the direction of your circles. Here we're really just actively warming up the hip flexors using gravity. Go ahead and pause. Release the left leg long. Hug the right knee in towards your chest. Interlace your fingers around the right shin. Reaching out through both heels to activate those feet. Slurp the belly back. Keep that right thigh close to those ribs in your chest and simply release those hands. Again, actively holding the thigh in as close as it's going to get for right now. Open the thigh out to the right. Allow the leg to go long. Rebend the knee across the body through center and out to the right, making those big circles yet again. Just note the direction that you're going in now so that you can reverse in a couple more rotations. And slowly reverse the direction of your circles. And go ahead and pause. Plant the right foot, bend the left knee, plant the left foot, roll onto your right side. We're gonna stay here for a moment. I'm gonna set myself up on my right forearm, resting on my right hip. We work with the left leg first. And we're gonna do some of those rotations, but in this side lying formation. So hug the left knee in towards your chest. You can rest your left hand wherever it feels right. Now externally rotate here, lift the knee up to the sky. And then internally rotate, dropping the knee in towards the thigh as the sole of the left foot presses back. Now keeping low belly zipped up, don't dump forward and move your pelvis. Keep the pelvis stable as you press the sole of the left foot back. And then hug the knee in towards the chest, again keeping pelvis stable. Lift knee up to sky. Externally rotate, sole of the left foot faces down, and then internally rotate the leg, knee drops, sole of the foot lifts, and press the sole of the foot behind you. Hug the knee in, compress the hip flexor, lift the knee up to the sky, drop sole of foot. Reverse, internally rotate the knee down, sole of the foot lifts, and press. Let's do that one more time. Maybe we can start to find a little more fluidity. Doing a couple of these rotations on your own. And really, this is just using all of the muscles, letting the connective tissue warm up and wring out. And complete that last one. Re-lengthen your legs and switch. You might roll just over to the left side of the body. Don't think about it too much. Set the arms and hands up however you would like. Hug right knee into chest. Again, with this focus on stable pelvis. So often what this can look like is that while we hug the knee in, the back dumps back. And we round to kind of bring ourselves out of that hip compression. So instead, keeping low belly zipped, we leave pelvis stable. Knees hugged in, find that external rotation, still not bringing the pelvis with us. Find internal rotation, knee drops, sole of foot lifts, pelvis stays steady. Press the sole of the right foot back. Again, pelvis stays steady. Slurp up, zip up that low belly. Hug knee in towards chest. Knee lifts to sky. Knee lowers with internal rotation towards that lower leg. Sole of the foot presses back. Exhale, knee in and up. Rotate as you inhale, press sole of foot back. Keep working through this in your own way or in your own rhythm with your own breath. And with that next one, slowly release. Make your way to your back with a block in tow. You might start with the block on the lowest, widest setting underneath your sacrum, that flat part of your back, just above your tailbone, or maybe on a medium setting. Pick what works for you. This is specific to the psoas. So starting with right this time, because why not? Let the left leg go long. See how that feels here on that left psoas. You might stay or also hug right knee into chest as left leg goes long. Now you can see that my left heel is now floating. I'll allow my feet to be soft for now, as the weight of gravity opens out my left psoas. Slurp that low belly up and in. Not only does it make room for the compression of the hip, but provides a little bit of stability for the low back and aids in the lengthening of the psoas as well. And we'll slowly switch. Bend the left knee, plant the foot, slide it back. Release the right leg. Let that leg go long. Feel how that feels on the psoas here. And really just meaning, how does it feel from the low back to the front of the hip flexor? Does this feel like it's enough of an opening for you with the right leg long, left foot planted? Or possibly start to hug that shin bone and knee in towards you. Maybe the right foot starts to float slightly. Low belly is slurped. And really mind the neck, the jaw, the shoulders here. If you're grabbing your left shin bone in such a way that everything is tensing and lifting, maybe just try to grab the back of the thigh below the knee. And slowly release. Plant right foot, release left leg, plant left foot. Take a moment to pause before you press into feet. Release the block off to the side. And roll onto your belly. Come up onto forearms here. This is where a strap might come in handy, so keep it handy. I'll let mine lengthen out. Zip up the low belly. Press down into the tops of the feet gently, so kneecaps lift. Stretch your low back towards your heels. And while you do that, you might feel sit bones curl under, low belly stays zipped so that those bony hip points soften up and in towards the belly button. Keep all of that and actively stretch the belly button forward towards thumbs. As heart stretches out, shoulders stay soft. Now here, this may feel like enough on the front of your body, and if so, wonderful, stay with that. Or, starting with left leg, we're just gonna keep switching it up. Right hand comes in towards midline. This helps me with my balance. You might bend the left knee and lasso the foot, bringing or holding the strap in such a way that you can square shoulders, ribs, left hip forward. Or maybe you might be able to hold on to the big toe side of the foot, the inner edge of the foot. Keep everything zipped. Draw the heel in towards your butt. Press the foot back into the hand. Watch that low back and pelvis, always with the aim of keeping that neutral pelvis as low belly is zipped up, low back stretches towards the back of the mat. And now let's slowly switch. Release that foot, plant left forearm, use the strap or don't as you squeeze right heel towards your butt, reach back for the inner edge of the foot so that your right chest is getting a nice opening stretch as well. Press the right foot into the hand as the hand draws the right foot towards the butt. Square everything to the top of the mat. Again, keeping that neutral pelvis. If you feel the low belly spilling and kind of softening forward, zip it back up. And slowly release that right foot. Plant your palms underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes. We meet in puppy dog pose. With toes tucked under, sink hips towards heels. Arms stretch out long in front of us. Inhale forward. Hands and knees. Pick up your right foot, step it forward. Here's where you might grab a block and keep your strap handy. Also, maybe pad your knee with that blanket. You may not feel like you need it now, but you may in a moment feel like it's a good idea to pad that knee. But to start, maybe the block lands underneath the hands inside of the right foot. The focus on stretching low back towards the back of the mat, scooping up the low belly, and using your left butt cheek to press the back of the left thigh forward to lift that bony hip point up and press it forward a little bit more. Keep all of that. Right hand on right thigh. Sweep left arm forward and up. So just a brief stretch in the entire left front side of the body. Release left hand back down. Right hand stays on thigh. You can use the block or not. I'm moving mine. Keep low belly zipped, low back stretching, neutral pelvis. Press forward and down on the right thigh to turn the chest to the right. Stretch your heart forward, draw your ears back. So still creating length in that front side of the body. Finding maybe a little bit of a spinal extension here. Now again, this might feel like enough on the front of the left hip, or you might Grab the strap in your right hand. Bend the left knee up towards your, or bend the left knee, squeeze your heel towards your butt, and lasso the foot with the strap. Now, once you have the strap or the foot captured, find that gentle push-pull resistance. I'm gonna get rid of my strap. I prefer to grab the foot with my hand. And my hip flexors just happen to be open enough that I can. So if you can't, don't worry about it. But once you're here, keep maintaining that neutral pelvis. That's really important. So if I just let the soft low belly dump forward, it really takes me out of my hip flexors. So scooping up the low belly, lifting that left bony hip point up, using my low left belly muscles, actively using the glute to press the hip forward, stretch heart forward, draw ears back. Starts to create all this length in the front of the thigh. And very slowly release. Place that right hand back on top of the thigh. Zip up low belly. Left arm reaches forward and up. Now see how this stretch feels now in comparison to the first time. And slowly release. Plant your palms. Right knee reaches back underneath that right hip. Land it on your blanket if you have one to pad. Left foot steps forward. Use that block underneath the hands if you would like to. Inside of the left foot. Focus on that low right belly, especially to zip up, stretch the low back towards the back of the mat. Use the right glute to press the back of the right thigh to send that bony hip point forward, scooping it up with the low belly, stretching heart forward, drawing ears back. Keep all of that left hand on the thigh, right arm sweeps forward and up. It's as though you could make a giant C curve from your right knee all the way to the right pinky finger without totally losing the low belly. Keep that zipped up and in. And right hand releases down. Use the block underneath your right hand or don't. Draw the arm bones back and into shoulder sockets. Press forward and down on the left hand to turn the chest to the left. Again, actively sending the hip forward and scooping up the belly to lift the bony hip points up and in towards the belly button. You might stay here. This might be enough for you. You might need a strap or not. Pick the tools that you need to make this accessible to you as you squeeze your right heel to your butt, point toes to sky, and reach back for the pinky edge side of the foot here with that left hand. Again, finding that neutral pelvic position as we find the push-pull resistance between the hand and that back foot. Stretching the heart forward, drawing the ears back. And slowly release. Right foot releases back, left hand on left thigh. Zip up low belly, sweep the right arm forward and up. Stretching out the entire right side of the body, at least the front of the right body. And slowly release. Come back into your tabletop position briefly. And here is where the wall comes into play. So I'm going to take my blanket. Actually, first I'll show you. So this King Arthur stretch is one of my favorites. And what I like about using the wall is that it takes sort of the balancing element out of it, and here is why. So, excuse me. If I step my right foot forward, and this is going to be a short lunge, right? So we don't need to be way out here. Right foot plants fairly close to the body. This neutral pelvis, imagine that the pelvis is a bowl and we don't want to tip the contents of the bowl forward. We want to keep it steady and lifted up and in. This is where a blanket becomes crucial, because as we bend the right or the left knee and reach for the top of the left foot, we're going to point the toes and bring the heel outside of the left hip and glute, or at least in that general direction. Once you get it there, we really focus on zipping up the low belly and drawing that left bony hip point up and in with shoulders stacked on hips. So that's how you do it without the wall. Now with the wall, you bring your blanket right up against the wall. Since we're starting with the left leg up and the right foot forward, I'm going to bring my left hip and knee up against the wall. I'm going to bend my left foot and start to pivot the top of my foot to meet the wall, if you can see that. Okay? And it's ultimately going to end up outside of the line of my left hip. Now very carefully, bring my right foot underneath my right knee. This is where it gets fun. So it may be that you just are starting with your right hand on your thigh, zipping up the low belly, left hand stacks on right, and slowly work on sitting up. Sometimes this can just be the starting point. Shoulders might be leaning pretty forward, totally fine. Again, we're working on maintaining a neutral pelvic tilt. Starting to stack shoulders on hips. Maybe once shoulders stack on hips, you notice, ooh, my pelvic tilt is dumping forward. I'm dumping my bowl forward. So then you start to send your butt back to the wall. You then start to really zip up the low belly, and here is where I really feel it. And then place your hands wherever you want. I like to let mine sort of dangle by my sides so that I remind my neck and my shoulders to stay super relaxed, allowing the weight of my arms to create a sense of length across the sides of my neck. As I breathe, soften jaw. And very slowly release. Come out the way that you went in, slowly, carefully, ultimately spinning to the left to release the left foot. And making your way into the other side, with or without the wall, but always with the blanket. This is really tough on the kneecap, so, be mindful about that. So again, if you're using the wall, bring right knee right up against the wall, right hip against the wall. As we bend the knee, slide the top of the right foot up the wall. Turn away from the wall to bring our left foot underneath us. Again, if you're with or without the wall, this is a short lunge position. Zip up the low belly while you're still down. Create that neutral pelvic tilt. Left hand on thigh. Just start working on sitting up, just like on the other side. Once you find that the shoulders are more uprighted, you might start to send your butt back against the wall, zip up low belly again, and rest the shoulder blades and shoulders, back of the head up against the wall. Soften your jaw, maybe yawn it open and closed. Find a position for the hands that allow for a nice relaxed neck and shoulder experience. Find enough work in the low belly that you're really supporting the length of the right hip flexors. You'll feel it all the way down the thigh as well. So this is for the quads too, but there's a muscle that crosses the kneecap and the hip flexor that's part of your quadriceps that you'll really probably feel that nice tug across the front of the hip. I know I do. You might be like, I feel it everywhere, Emily, absolutely everywhere. And that's cool too. God, I love it here. I could live here. All right, but let's slowly come out. Oh, yeah. Come back to your mat. Sit on your butt for a moment and wiggle those legs in and out. Maybe walking out the knees a little bit here. You can move your blanket off to the side, but maybe strap might be a handy thing. Maybe not. Well, we end in a cat tail. So lying onto your back, again, strap being handy. You might take it in the right hand for now. Gonna hug right knee into chest and roll over the left hip, bringing your right knee or right thigh over the left. You really want to stack yourself on top of that left hip so that you can bend that bottom foot, squeeze your heel towards your butt, and just like we've been doing, opposite hand with the strap captures that left foot, like you're reaching back and grabbing your own tail. Now the goal here ultimately is for both shoulder blades to be rooted on the mat. So with this we find a twist, and we again emphasize that neutral pelvic position. So we zip up low belly, stretch your low back towards the bottom of the mat. I'm going to get rid of my strap. And then breathe. So super common thing for me that you might be able to relate to is that on my left side, I'll feel a tugging kind of underneath my left kneecap as my left quads just happen to be tighter for whatever reason. And those cross underneath the kneecap, and kind of my left hip flexor tends to be a little bit more cranky in the opening part. It's the strength that my left hip flexor loves. So, you know, just notice the difference side to side. Take in the sensations and allow them to inform you about your body. All right, let's slowly unwind. Release the left foot, allow the leg to go long. Roll onto the back. Bend both knees to center your hips. As right leg goes long, hug your left knee into your chest. Grab that strap in your left hand if you're going to use it. I'm going to leave mine off to the side. Roll over the right hip. Use the right hand to draw that left leg over to the right. Adjusting your hips in any way that you need so that you can really land on top of that right hip. Both shoulder blades stay rooted as much as is possible. We haven't done a ton of deep twisting today, so don't worry if that left shoulder is sort of floating. Just allow gravity and sort of a tiny bit of effort to soften the left shoulder blade and back of the shoulder back against the mat as you bend right knee. Grab the top of the right foot, ooh, a little cramp, with the left hand as the right hand guides the left leg in the opposite way. Zip up your low belly. And slowly release. Lengthen right leg, roll onto your back. Maybe give yourself a nice little squeeze, thighs into chest. Lengthen your legs long into Shavasana. We end as we began. And as you start to settle into the back of the body, allowing everything to relax and give way, maybe scan the back of the body briefly, softly, as a way of noticing without effort. Where the heels, calves land, whatever the gentle lift in the backs of the legs that's created by the body in your anatomy. And notice the low back now. What are the sensations that are present there? Is it different than when we started? Has it shifted position in any way? Is it more released towards the mat? Is it slightly more lifted? What awareness has been created there? Very slowly, as you deepen your breath, start to move your body, spreading toes and fingers wide and making tight fists and pointing toes, rolling out ankles and wrists. Inhaling, arms overhead, stretch long. Bend your knees, plant your feet, roll onto your favorite side and pause. As you gently press your way to a seat, you might use any of your props to find a comfortable seat. Bring your palms to meet at your heart and bow your head to your hands. In this, our gesture of gratitude, of recognition and acknowledgement. I hope your hip flexors feel as gooey as mine do and as good. And I hope that this brings a sense of awareness and ease to your day. I look forward to seeing you next time. I bow to you deeply in honor. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always a joy and an honor to lead you all, and I look forward to seeing you next time.